Hello guys, welcome back to the Linktree trading video. In this one we're going to be doing a stock breakdown / analysis on SNOA, which is today's biggest gap on August 19th. Firstly, we can see at its peak it was up around 140%, which is obviously a very big move. And as we're starting to see it pull back down, we can kind of give price targets because it's not been like the other few gappers which have stayed strong throughout the end of the day, which has made it harder to pick targets because they've been outside deviation channels. However, going off statistical deviations, we have main resistances at 1090, 990, 890, and 790. Seems to be quite a big pattern on the 90s. 805, 889, 970, and 1057 are all kind of the key levels that we will be looking at for right now. As you can see, it did kind of hesitate at these levels on the way up, and when it broke out of this fourth deviation, that's when it gets its pop. And so we start to see the same thing though to the downside, and that's where I see this going. I see this coming back into kind of the statistical mean or lower, so we would see it around 720 or below in the near future. But these are the main price targets because this is where we see the bounces on the way down, and maybe resistance if it tries to retest any levels. So you'll see here, obviously we faded from its peak, did get its bounce off these deviations, pulled further back, had a small bounce off those deviations, pulled back again, and then we had the relatively big bounce off this deviation until we retested the 4 deviations again, and it failed. So now we're just chopping around these areas. So what will most likely happen within the next few, either end of market today or throughout the next few days, we'll most likely see it break out of this 891 area, break down more to the 808 to around 790 area. This will probably get another bounce. It'll probably bounce to this 790 and then continue back down, and that's when it will most likely return to the statistical mean of around 690 to 720. Once it gets here, we may chop around these deviation bands, so in this case 805 to 637, and on this one 709 to 590, just for a day or so, or maybe just for a few hours, before eventually we would most likely break down and stay within these lower bounds at around 590 to around 690, and same kind of thing here, 720 to 640. So these, when looking at it, we will most likely see SNOA break down further, and we will most likely finish or stop its move once it comes into this 790 or say 805 to around 590. This is when I would stop trading it, because when it gets into this area, we don't really know as much what it's going to do. When it comes into this value, it's no longer considered overbought, and would be considered more a fair value once it's within these bands, so it's harder to predict where it will go. So to myself, I think I'd be quite short bias on SNOA until we kind of get into this area here. We will probably get that bounce off here back to the 509 and then most likely fail, break down, and then from then on we will just stay within this area, and we probably won't get any great moves after there, so wouldn't be looking to trade that anymore. So that's it for the breakdown on SNOA. I hope that helps. Hope to see you in the next one, and that's it. Peace.